Hello and welcome to Dice Jesters. My name is Julie.
And my name is Dave.
And today Dave will be showing me the game Space Base. So David, why did you decide to show me this game?
Yeah, so I decided to show you this game because, as I mentioned previously, Settlers of Catan was one of the games that got me into the hobby. And although I would love to show that to you, it is a 3 to 4 player game.
Oh.
It's just 2 of us.
Okay.
But when I think about what I loved about that game, it was like the first hobby board gaming game I'd played. Mm-hmm. And it kind of blew my mind, the idea of you roll your dice on your turn and you're not just moving pieces around a board. You're actually getting things and collecting things.
Yeah.
But the cool thing was that on other people's turn, based on what they rolled, you would get stuff as well. So it made the game feel engaging for every player's turn. So whether it's your turn or somebody else's, there's always stuff happening. And I played this game, fast forward several years later, I played this game, and it reminded me of Settlers of Catan in that way, where you're rolling dice and getting a bunch of things.
Okay.
But this game was a lot more fun. I really had a lot of fun playing this. I've only played it once.
Okay.
And it was just really easy to get into, and I just thought I would show it to you. So
And I'm guessing it's a 2-player game?
it is like 2 to 5, I think.
Yeah, it's 5.
But this one, you can play 2 players, yes.
Oh, wow, this is like an hour-long game, according to the back.
Maybe with 5 players. It's shorter with 2.
It says 45. So a whole 15 minutes.
So
right, so Space Base. So I'm very particular about how I like art.
Mm-hmm.
This art's very like comic book-esque.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I'll say. But this little robot, though, he reminds me of somebody from Futurama.
Uh-huh.
It's not Bender. It's the guy who, like, goes around. I forgot his name. I really did. But he's also gold, so. Okay. So is it a little comic book? Oh, nah. Doo-doo. Okay, well, I'm not going to read that because I'm sure you already know the rules, so there
Yes.
you go. Okay, so what in the world is this? Oh, these pieces are cool. These little ice cubes.
Some cubes.
Yeah, they look nice. So I'm just gonna... Don't worry, I'm not going to put them in my mouth.
They look delicious.
They do. They look like the texture would be really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so I'm just going to put them there. Oh, the dice is pretty. The dice is actually really pretty. I love how they're translucent with little sparkles and there's a spaceship on it.
Yeah, the spaceship is just the number 1. That's what they decided to do for the game, so.
That's cute. Obviously, I'm guessing these are your game boards that you play on.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly could not tell you what this game's about. Yeah, I can't tell you. I don't know. I really don't know. I'm stumped. Based off the pieces, I couldn't tell you.
So, this is a game where we get these 2 dice, and we're going to be rolling these dice on your turn.
Yeah.
And you're going to have these different spaceships on your space base. And depending on what you roll, you can either combine the numbers to get the ability of, or the reward from one spaceship, or you can use the 2 numbers separately to get 2 different rewards. And so the game will start off with, it's kind of like, this might remind you a little bit of Dominion. You're starting out with these basic cards that'll give you like a coin or a small reward. But as the game goes by, you'll be buying bigger and bigger and bigger spaceships that when you roll that number, you'll get bigger rewards. But the cool thing is you'll have these spaceships to start, and then when you buy a new spaceship that goes into that spot, it flips over and you'll get this red reward on somebody else's turn, on the other person's turn when they roll that number. And they can stack up. So you might have a spot with, let's say, 4 coins, and when the other person rolls that number, you'll get 4 coins on your turn. Okay. So essentially the game is a race. We're both racing to get to 40 victory points first, and then at the end of that turn, or that round, whoever has the most points is the winner. So spaceships will give you coins, they'll give you points, they'll give you income, which helps you get money a lot faster. So the game has a sense of progression. It'll start out kind of like doing these small moves, but by the end, kind of like Dominion, you'll be doing these bigger turns and getting a bunch of cool stuff. Okay,
so how is it decided on who gets to go first for this one? Is it like, who's ever had a space expedition?
The last person to beat a space. Let's look.
I think it'd be me. You're like, what?
So the starting player is actually determined by randomly drawing cards from a deck, and then we look at the card's cost, and whoever has, I think, that the highest value goes first.
Oh, like we draw from the deck that it's provided?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Exactly. So it's random. Or we could just roll a die. That's always fun, too.
Yeah, we can roll these 2 die.
Exactly.
That the game had provided, because they're pretty. All right, so before we get into that, I have the drink, and I nailed it, as I knew I would, because space theme.
Yeah.
So today I have for you, Dave, this drink.
What is this?
Yes. So, what it is, is I actually went out of my way and got some things.
Okay.
Because you said space, and I wanted to give you a space feel. I went and got boba tea, like a boba lemonade drink.
Yeah.
So it's blue raspberry lemonade, and then inside of it is raspberry popping pearls. So
Whoa.
they're pink and the drink's blue. So here is your drink.
That is amazing. It looks so beautiful.
I'm getting good at this.
And it's red, like what the box has some red.
Yeah, I didn't
on
even
it.
know that the box had red on it. I just did it because they reminded me of space.
That's amazing. In the future, should I show you the box cover so you can at least
No,
think
cheating.
about the artwork? Okay, no, you can't have any insider
I can't
knowledge,
have any
just the
insight
name.
other than the name.
Okay.
I feel more creative when I just have the name
This is amazing. I'm interested to see how this will evoke the feeling of
of space.
traveling through space.
Yeah, especially when the balls like pop.
Yeah.
Boop.
I'm already feeling it. This is going to be amazing.
All right, well, let's get into it.
Let's do it.
All right, so we're back after my first game, and I lost.
You did.
I
By
don't-
how many? What did you
What
get?
do you mean by how many points? we don't need to discuss how bad I lost.
I just lost. Okay.
I just lost, yeah.
What did you think of Space Base?
Space base? Well, okay. First off, oh, it's still wet. Oh.
What happened in this game?
Okay, well, first off, we had a catastrophe.
A catastrophe.
A catastrophe? A catastrophe? Oh, a catastrophe.
Yeah, we can just be
But we're
catastrophe.
having a catastrophe. Because I did not get to enjoy my drink. Oh! The
Speak of the devil.
yeah, speak of Lulu. Because my cat dumped it, so... However my drink was,
That was so sad.
will be based off Dave.
I can tell you that the drink was enjoyable. It paired very nicely with the game.
Oh, that was good. I'm so sorry. What was your question? I was so fixated on Lupin.
What did you think of Space Base?
Oh, yes. So, I liked it. I think I would be willing to do the 10 by 10 for this.
Nice.
Yeah. I feel like the first round wasn't a round that I can really say or give insight to, just because I was so distracted by Lupin spilling something that I stopped paying attention to the game and was cleaning up his spill.
Yeah, it interrupted the game.
Yeah, and then we had dinner, and then we came back, so there was just lots of interruptions. We didn't really sit down and play it, but from when we did sit down and finish the game, I really enjoyed it. Like, I liked it. I see what you mean by how it's like Dominion, and I like how there's this, what was it, economy, or...
Yeah, like the income track.
Yeah, the income track. I think that was nice. The cards, being able to pick different things was really neat, and I don't know, it was really easy.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have issues learning it. It's very straightforward, very this and that.
Yeah, you didn't have too many questions as we were jumping in and learning.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's pretty cool that they literally have a card that you can purchase with your... Are they just coins?
I think so. Credits, coins, something like that.
With your space credits.
Space credits. Space cred.
Like, you could literally purchase this card with your space cred for 14 space credits, which is easier to get than it sounds, and the card says you win.
Well,
So-
but you have to roll 12 a certain number of times
Right.
to charge it with the cubes, and then you win.
Yeah. But the point is, there's a card that allows you to do that.
Yeah, like a secondary win condition.
The fact that there's an option just makes it great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Was this game as familiar or as great as when you originally played it?
Yeah, I think it was still the similar kind of experience that I remembered with what I really stood out to me the first time was just the sense of progression where it starts, you're getting like 1 space cred in the beginning or 2 space cred, and then as the game goes by and you fill in your board and you get more abilities and stuff, each turn you're getting more and more money. And then with you mentioned the income track is really cool because when you spend money, you have to spend all of your money, but then it resets to how far up you are on the income track. Mm-hmm. So it's not like you're starting from scratch every turn. It builds throughout the game to where every turn you get money, and then you have more and more money to spend. So the game speeds up as each turn goes by. And I also like the decision of when to purchase these. They're called colony cards that just give you a one-time amount of points, but then they take up a space on your board where you're no longer getting the ongoing abilities. So if you buy them too early, then you're missing out on those ongoing bonuses. And if you buy them too late, then the other person may beat you to the finish line of getting more points. So it's about finding that balance.
Wonder how it feels to get beat.
Yeah, but no, it's fun. There is like, how do you feel just strategy versus luck, just first impressions? Obviously there's luck because you're rolling the dice, but did you feel like there was a strategic decision space in the game?
Yeah, because you were picking the cards. So yes, it was luck, but it was luck, like luck with the dice, but it was luck on how many coins you would get to spend that turn.
True.
But you still had to be strategic in what cards you wanted to buy to give your, I don't know if this has a name, but to give your base, your space base, the best chance at winning more cards or winning the spaceships or rocket points.
It's true, and it's kind of, you kind of can statistically analyze your decisions too. Like, you bought that card that went into your 12 space that could let you win the game.
Right.
But you know going in, it's very unlikely that you'll roll enough dice to make that happen. But the chance is there, but you're still making the choice to do that.
Yeah.
Where you can go for cards, strictly cards where it's more likely, or more likely just to roll. You can go after that, or you can spread yourself thin. So I think it's an informed decision. And there's a whole breakdown of the rule book of the statistical likeliness of rolling each space on your board. So if you really wanted to get into it, you could. So I felt like it was a good blend between luck and strategy, personally.
Yeah, I think that it is the perfect blend, and I do see the Dominion aspect, so I don't know if learning Dominion makes this game easier to learn. I don't know if that plays a factor into it.
Maybe.
But it was really easy to pick up, so yeah.
Yeah. Well, excellent. If you could give it a meeple rating after this one semi-interrupted play, this first impression, what would you say for this one?
I would say it's a 4, and if you ask me why, it could be because it's interrupted, it could not be because it's interrupted, it could be because I'm just ever so slightly fixated on the spaceships. But right now it's a 4. For game, though, I like it. Like, I like the whole stacking up cards, the whole I get points during your turn, you get points during my turn, because then the game's always moving. There's no waiting for anybody.
There's very little downtime, and especially in a 2-player game. I don't know how this would feel with more players. I think that when you add players, then the abilities at the top, once you flip them over, would become more important.
Yeah.
So you would just be getting stuff, but then you're waiting longer for your turn. I don't know. I love 2-player games because they just move so fast, and especially this one, you're just constantly moving stuff up the track, so you're getting money, getting points, and then I'm happy that you're wanting to do this one for the 10x10 challenge, because I'm excited to keep going. I think my meeple score would also be probably a 4 out of 5 too. Solid game, and I think a good one to introduce people to. So why don't we go play this 9 more times, and then we'll come back and talk about what we thought after that experience.
The 10x10. And we are back after 10 rounds.
Yeah, what a journey.
Yeah, I would say it's a journey indeed.
Who won the 10x10 challenge in this one?
You did.
I did. By 1.
Oh, was it by 1?
Was it by 1?
I thought it was 4 by 6, or 4 to 6.
Oh, 4 to 6. Yeah, you're right. So, what did you think about Space Base after playing it so many times, from your initial impression?
I can't particularly remember my initial impression, because for this 10x10, it did take a little bit longer, because the game itself was just a little bit longer, from setting it up, to taking it down, to resetting it, what have you.
Yeah.
So, I'm just going to go off the impression that I have now.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say it's okay. Like, I like it, I do, but it's not my favorite.
Okay.
And I know that I had discussed previously that the numbers with the spaceships bother me.
Yeah.
Because the art design's the same design, copy and pasted, but like just different colors. And I wish that 1 and all the 1 cards would have the same ship. And then 2 and all the 2 cards would have the same ship. And the reason that I wish this isn't just because of the graphics. Like, I have an actual analytical thing about it. So, because there's the coin and then the card number is directly next to one another.
Right.
So when I'm looking at your board upside down, so now I'm looking at your numbers upside down, and I think that you have things in the wrong order. And sometimes when you move, I'm like, no, you moved that, but that's supposed to be in the 5th space. And you're like, no. And
that did happen.
Yeah.
A few times.
It happened quite a few times. And then on my board, it was difficult because there was one time that I did put a 5 coin in the 5 spot when it shouldn't have been in the 5 spot. It should have been in the 4 spot.
Mm-hmm.
But because the numbers were so close to each other and I was just fixated on other things, I had gotten confused. So to get over this problem, I feel that if all the 1s have the same ship and then all the 2s have the same ship, that would prevent the issue, because you're like, oh, it's the wrong ship. And then the higher the card, the different the color.
Okay.
So to me, that would make sense. And I think that would make the game easier.
Sure.
And then just going off the ships, they had a few other ships for specialty cards. I thought that was a good idea. Like, that made sense to me because, oh, that's a special card. So sure, it's going to have a 1 on it, but it's a card that you can, like, switch with another card.
Yeah, so you're talking about the actual ship on the card, right?
Correct. Like the actual image of the ship on the card.
See, it's funny, and it's just, this is a good illustration of how different people with different kinds of mindsets or ways of thinking, or just visually how they look at things on the table, can differ. Because for me, I almost never looked at the spaceships, and I wouldn't have even noticed that they were different. Like, what you're talking about isn't something I noticed, but the numbers of the coin and then the space that it goes onto for your space base, I confused those over the span of the 10 games probably 5, maybe 6 times, where we were several turns in, and I realized, oh, wow, I put this in the wrong spot. Mm-hmm. And I had to go back and remember and try to fix it to be fair for the game. But it wasn't just a one-time thing, and it wasn't the first time I played. It was maybe 7 or 8 plays in. I was still making that mistake. But going back to that green arrow card, I've played... So what the green arrow card does is you have to load a cube onto it when you roll that number. And then on a future turn, you can use that cube to increase the value of your dice roll by 1 or 2, depending on the card. But the symbol that they use is an arrow to the right. And there are other cards in the game that give you the ability of the card to the left or the right of it when you roll that number. So me thinking, oh, there's an arrow, I'm assuming that it does the same thing. We were probably 6 or 7 plays in, and I had to reread the rule book, and I realized that I had been using that ability wrong the entire time we've been playing it. And that makes a huge difference, because the last couple games, when I realized what that card actually does, I actually bought more of those cards because I realized that I could use that strategically to get the cards abilities that I really wanted to accomplish what I was trying to do in the game. And also just the small cards, then you have to flip them over and tuck them under other cards, and there's just a lot of moving these small little pieces around on the table. So
yeah, the tucking cards is difficult because it's just like, what happens if one accidentally tucks too far and you don't see it anymore? Like, I get that you're tucking them, but let's say you bump something because you're reaching over your board so often to get things.
Yeah, exactly. So that was just something that kind of bothered me about the game. But let's talk about stuff that we like, because I did enjoy this game at the end, despite these aspects. But what are some things that you enjoyed as we were going through the 10x10?
I like, what were the green ones?
The income. Yeah,
the income. So I like that allowed you to move up. So then when you did spend money or coins, you went down to the income instead of down to 0, which helped build your deck or build your spaceship so that you started at a higher number, so you wouldn't have to continuously buy from row 1. And then I liked the colors. I like the spaceship colors, and I like the cubes and everything. What did you like?
So going into the game, I had played this once before, and to me, it was just a kind of a fun game of rolling dice and getting things and trying to build an engine. And it ended up being more strategic than I initially went into it. And the more I played it, the more I saw these different strategies I could go for, whether it was going as high up as I could on the income tracks, I'm getting a lot of money, or it's trying to buy a lot of those spaceships that give you points and building that up, or the weird cards like the win card.
Yeah,
where you get the 4 cubes on there and then you win the game, but it's on the 12 spot. Then you realize, oh, there are ways that I can get to the 12 spot without rolling 12. And our last game, I really tried to push hard to get for that. I didn't make it happen, and I was so sad.
And how bad did you lose for the last game?
I lost, so you got, what,
I got
51, and I got 11. So that was really depressing. But I just
that was stressy, depressing.
Really wanted it to happen so bad. But I do enjoy the combo aspect where you can find cards that work together to get you to where you want to go strategically in the game. And like other games that we've talked, like Dominion, for example, one of my favorite things about Dominion is the timing of when to buy those victory point cards that don't do anything for you. They just clog up your deck, but that's how you win the game, is by getting points. So this game kind of has something similar with those spaceships that you can purchase that go into your space base that give you points, but then they don't give you any more abilities in that spot for the rest of the game. So it's kind of this timing of when to start buying those.
Yeah.
Or even in general, when to start buying the cards that give you ongoing victory points, because then you're not getting money to be able to buy other things. So it's kind of a balance. And I thought that was a pretty interesting aspect of the game.
So 2 things. 1, if you were second player, you were almost guaranteed a 52% chance of winning. So not...
Wow. Sounds like you put some math into this.
Because the way that the rules, right, is that the second player always gets a turn. Like, so if the first player passes 40 or gets 40, the second player gets to do that. But let's say the second player gets to 40 and the first player is at 39. Well, the first player doesn't get a second chance at getting 40. So you want to be second player so that you always have that chance to catch up.
Maybe when you're second player too, you're really trying to rush that end of the game so that the first player won't get another turn.
Yeah, and that's why I always wanted to be second player.
So some other points and questions that I have is, after 10 plays, how replayable do you think this game is? Do you think you can play it several times after that and still find it fresh and exciting to come back to? Or do you feel like it's kind of the same game every single time you play it?
It could just be because you and I are playing it together, and maybe it would be fresh with somebody else. But I do... So even though the cards are randomized in, like, 1, 2, and 3, you pull the cards differently.
Yeah.
I play the same way every single time. Ever since I figured out my strategy, I play the same way. So it's just, I'm just waiting for my cards.
True. I kind of fell into my own strategy, too, and found myself coming back to that. So it started to feel almost like the same game, and I was just trying to make the same thing happen every single time.
And that could just be us then, because we were just doing the same thing.
It's true.
But
it's true.
That's kind of how I feel. I feel like it's 50-50. Like, it could be, and it couldn't be, depending on your play style.
Right. And my next question is, how do you feel about the level of player interaction in this game in terms of us being able to, I don't know, mess with each other's strategy a little bit or interact in different ways?
I don't feel like we attacked one another whatsoever. Like, it was the dice determined what card we used, and then our money determined what we could purchase.
Right.
Like, we were just racing. Like, that's literally what it was. It should be like Space Race.
Right. There was one card, though, that let you have the other player subtract, I think, 4 points every time you use that ability or something, but I didn't feel the need to buy that. It just didn't seem that exciting. So
yeah, there was only one of those, but I was really fixated on your board just because you could accidentally move 5 spaces instead of 4, or you could forget to move your coin back to start.
Yeah,
that happens
true.
so often. So I was always watching you. I'm not saying that you're not an honest player, because you're an honest player. It's just like, did you forget to move the yellow back because you were too busy moving everything else?
Right.
Like tucking your card under. So I felt myself watching you quite often.
There are little things to keep track of, and maybe when I play this game, I'm just in the mindset of a lighthearted, quick, fun game, but I forget to, I need to move that back because I spent all my money. You are cutthroat. Who do you think that this game is for?
I would say, like, chill family members. Because I feel like this game would cause a fight. Because when there was that mishap where you were using a, like, 5 coin in the place of 5, and then you were, of course, being honest and was like, oh, well, I can backtrack. But in my mind now, I'm like, no, it's not accurate. You don't know how long it's been sitting there. Or if a bump did occur, you're not memorizing where the squares were, because there's 3 squares to memorize. And then you're just like, well, I don't know where it was. So I feel that it would start fights. So I feel like chill family members could play space.
True.
Because they would find it exciting and fun, like building, because it is a fun game.
Right. The chill family member thing I agree with. This wouldn't be my first game I'd introduce family to, maybe a couple of games in or something. And I would want to make sure that we could get more than one play, because I think having people sit down, explain the rules, playing this the first time, they're not going to see what's going on. If you've played this game before, you'll crush them, I'm guaranteed. So, yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, after 10 plays, what is your 10 by 10 meeple score for this?
I don't remember when I sat after my first.
I think you said 4 out of 5.
Yeah, I want to say I said 4. But after playing it 10 times, I would say 3.8.
3.8?
Yeah, because...
What's your reasoning there?
Well, I don't like giving less than 3 because it makes me feel bad. But my reasoning is just because with playing the 10 by 10, I really... And this is probably because we were playing it consecutively throughout 1.5 weeks,
Sure.
Doing that, I was getting really annoyed with the repetitive spaceships of different colors. I became fixated on that. But otherwise, I think it is a good game.
Yeah, mine, I think I originally rated a 4 out of 5. I would probably keep it about a 4 out of 5. I did really enjoy the plays of it, despite those issues that I talked about, because we could figure it out. I was able to find the answers by reading through forums online and stuff for the ambiguous cards, and was able to eventually enjoy it more and more. And as I saw those strategies play out, it was really, really fun game. So I would still say about a 4 out of 5 for me for this one.
Okay.
So the big question is, are we going to keep this to play, or are we going to trade it away?
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. But I don't know if I would be apt to keep it.
You want to trade it away?
Kind of.
Well, I mean, that's the whole point of this, is how excited would you be to play this again after we've played it so many times?
Not that excited. If you were like, let's play this, and then I'd take forever to set it up, and then...
Right. So if it's a game you're not excited about, then it just takes up space on the shelf if you know that you're not going to be excited to bring it back to the table. Yeah. So we can trade it away. You don't have to feel bad.
I do feel bad.
But we had fun playing this, and that was a really fun 10 by 10. So thank you so much, Julie, for taking that journey with me. And thank you so much for listening. That is all that we have for this week. If you want to reach out to us, we would love to hear from you. Our email is thedicejesters@gmail.com. And you can also find us on Instagram at dicejesters. Be sure to join us next time for an in-depth look at the game San Juan. Until then, play all the games with the ones you love.